when you pull on that jersey, you represent yourself and your teammates. And a name on the front is a hell of a lot more important than the one on the back. Get that through your head.
And here we go.
And it is no good. He missed it. Are you kidding me? The season can't end like that.
The playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
What we've got here is failure to communicate.
We all go a little mad sometimes.
Some goofball in a hat and a red shirt. Now he takes off the shirt. He's running down the middle by the 50. He's at the 30. He's bare-chested and banging his chest. Now he runs the opposite way. He runs to the 50. He runs to the 40. The guy is drunk, but there he goes. The 20. They're chasing him. They're not going to get him. Waving his arms. Bare-chested. Somebody stop that man.
Welcome to another edition of the program, otherwise known as NETMA. I'm your host, Tyler Falk. Glad to have you on another edition of the show here on this Tuesday afternoon. And mentioned it yesterday on yesterday's show when we recapped the quarterfinals that today we're going to cover a little bit of the minor league and something that I brought up at the beginning of the season when the league announced a few changes to the minor league for the upcoming season 5 of the SFLM. And I had a little bit of an irk with it, but as we've seen in the first couple of weeks of the new season for the SFLM, the SFL has a problem with the minor league. I'm calling it the SFLM conundrum. It seems to me that the league, in terms of the minors, reacts to a lot of this stuff. And I didn't want to bring it up after week 1. I wanted it to play out a little bit more. And as the league gets closer and closer to the end of the season, we start to get into some of the things that will be discussed in the owners' chat about what to change, what to keep for the upcoming, not just the SFL regular season, but for the SFLM next season, which would be season 6, of course. Now, at the beginning of this season, the two-way contracts sounded like a good idea. I think they can still be a good idea if they're changed a little bit. Now, it allows a few players to come back, the two-way contract system, to come back into the minor league and see more regular playing time than that they would have if they had not received a whole lot in the SFL proper. Gives people maybe just jumping in the league, all of a sudden that player gets signed midway through the season on a two-way contract and not really is worth a whole lot, not really being paid a whole lot contract-wise. So it gives that player the ability to still develop in the minor league, still show off what they can do in the minor league at what position they are in the minor league. It also allows flexibility. We see that with Jerry D. Gunn, who's a defensive tackle for Fort Worth, is a free safety in the minor league. And that player in particular is able to control his free safety player in a way that if he doesn't like what he's doing at defensive tackle, he can go back to the minor league at free safety, or he can keep his defensive tackle player, which he started out base copper, basically the lowest level that anyone in the league starts out at nowadays, and develop that player from there. Fort Worth, good defensive team, got Jerry in, and had a really, I'd say, a pretty okay season. But now has the opportunity to go back in the minors and play as his free safety if he so chooses, which he's doing. Now with that comes a couple of loopholes. And I'm going to refer to a couple of players. One of which being a tailback in Louisiana, Randy Squarebush, who this past weekend only got a handful of carries. But he is the highest rated player in the minor leagues. He's the highest paid player in the minor leagues. 112 point, get you the inaccurate number here for Annapolis. 112.83 is what he's ranked in the minor leagues, which is his same progression that he is with Louisiana, if I'm maybe making some corrections or whatnot. Anywho, Randy Squarebush terrorizes minor league and a couple of pro backfields, defensive backfields. My biggest question is if that player, yes, he's a second string player in the system that Louisiana currently have adopted, but he's a cheat code, overpowered player for a majority of minor league defenses. A lot of these defensive players are brand spanking new to the league. They have little to no resistance against him yet. Toward the end of the season, like we saw last season in season 4, where Annapolis got kicked out of the playoffs, they finally had to develop a game plan to work, and they had developed players to combat Squarebush. We saw in week 1, Squarebush against a pretty not to be harsh on their opponents, but they were not at the quality or caliber of Randy. And so Randy had a stereotypical minor league performance before he was drafted now this season, when he was drafted by Louisiana in a feature back role. I think we need to limit that type of player. Now, I've talked with Randy, and he's all on board with this. He's saying, I am too good for the minor league. He's only here because he's categorized as a second string player, and according to the minor league, if you are not a starting player, you are eligible for a two-way contract. That's how it played out for the minor league this season, which allows Squarebush to come back, which allows Terrence Pearson to come back for Ottawa, who is a stud at cornerback at a gold level, at a 85.12 contract, which is head and shoulders above the next closest minor league player who wasn't drafted in this past offseason, which was Amar Bryant Jr., who is nearly 20 dollars short of TP. It's not fair to say to our newest stars in the minor league that you are going to have to play behind 2 pro wide receivers. And I'm taking that directly at Lincoln. David Gears, Zachary Patton, 2 really good wideouts. Patton, third string wide receiver for Jacksonville. Gears, third string wide receiver for Vancouver. Both have played pretty well this season for their respective pro teams. I think in order to give people like Hexter Huxley a more feature role, to see more tape on him, we have to limit who we allow back in the league. I personally feel that if you are silver above and are in the pros, no matter your two-way contract status, which we have currently, you should not be allowed back in the minor league at your current level. That is how things sit. You are allowed to progress your player throughout the pro season. And whatever your player ends up there, that is what's happening in the minor league. So David Gears, gets to play as his silver wideout for Lexington. Patton gets to play as his gold wideout for Vancouver. And it gives Hector Huxley very little playing time. Very little times we'll see him touch the football. Because Patton and Gears will get open. More often than not than Huxley. They are faster. They are more agile. They have better, for Gears, better jumping ability, more reach. The route running is miles beyond what Huxley can do at the moment. I think we need to see a true minor league approach. I'm maybe more of a fundamentalist when it comes to the minor league, where we see just the minors play. Just the minor leaguers. Let's see them play. Let's see what they can do. We need tape on these guys. We need to see how they react to their plays. We need to see how they interact with everybody else when they make a good play or a poor play. We need to see that. With all of these, with a few of these pro players coming back in and playing with a whole bunch of players that in some cases can't even touch them. Can't even touch them in terms of their ability. It goes to be said that there needs to be a change in the minor league. It's not a knock on any one of these players. It's a knock on the underbalance that we have here currently. Now, like I said at the beginning, the minor league is a reactionary league. It will change. The two-way contract system will more than likely change. I think there's an easy way to do it. Now, when I'm talking about gold and silver players, I'm specifically talking about the pros. So people like Trellis Blanton, the quarterback for Albuquerque, was not drafted in the previous offseason. He's a gold quarterback. That's perfectly fine with me. That's perfectly fine with me because he is still developing. He is still in the minor league, has not joined a pro team. So I think that's perfectly fine. I think we need to see those standout players, like how we saw Randy Squarebush explode on the scene in season 4 as a true minor league player. We need to see more of that, not pros taking the spotlight over minor leaguers. That's just my opinion. Love to hear your thoughts, both maybe here in the comments section or over on the NETMA server Discord, link to which is down below in the description. If you want to join the SFL and join the minor leagues, go ahead and head to the Simulation Football website at simulationfl.net. And hopefully we get to see you guys on the field. So tomorrow we get back to talking playoff action for the pros. And until then, everybody, I'll see you then. Good morning, good afternoon, and good